everybody. Here is a quick video about using Excel to work with correlation coefficients. I'm looking at question number 14 in the homework, and you can see they give us two pieces of data, or two variables of data. I'm sorry, we have some x values and some y values. They want you to look at the scatter plot, and they want you to find out some characteristics about the regression line. So here is how you actually make a scatter plot in Excel and how you calculate the R value, the correlation coefficient. First of all, I can open up this, and I'm going to open up in Excel. Okay, it's downloaded. Let's open that file. And here is my data. You can see my x values are in one column and my y values are in another. You need to have that in order to make a scatter plot. Whoops, let me move this over for y'all. Your data needs to be in columns like this. Now to make my scatter plot, let me make this a little bigger and maybe not quite that big. Sorry about this. Okay, in Excel you're going to go to Insert. Okay. And charts, and right down here you have a scatter plot right there. Okay, so here's how we're going to make it. We're going to highlight everything here, highlight the whole thing. We're going to come to charts. I'm going to click on that, and there is our scatter plot. So now we can compare that to the scatter plots that they give us here. Okay. And it looks like it goes up a little bit. We've got that outlier way up there on the top. Let's see if we've got anything that looks like that here. Looks like probably B is a good choice for that. Check answer. Okay. Okay. To find the equation of the regression line, we have two formulas that we can use in Excel. They're called slope and intercept. Okay. And the formula for slope is slope. So every formula begins with an equal. I'm going to type the word slope, open my parentheses, and notice it tells you that you have to highlight the y values first. Then you put a comma. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little comma. And then you highlight your x values. So I come here, I highlight my y values, comma, highlight my x values, close parentheses. There's the slope, and the command for the y-intercept is intercept. And again, your y values go first, then a comma, and then your x values, and close parentheses. Okay. So the intercept is the b value, and the slope is some people call it A, some people call it M. All right, so whichever one they're asking for in the homework. So the M is the thing that's multiplied by the X. The B, the intercept, is the number that's by itself. So I'm just going to come and paste these in here. And it wants this to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to come back, and we had a 7 there, so that becomes a 9. Oh no, that was an 8, so that becomes a 6. And then for slope, copying it, pasting it, 2 decimal places, and it's 0.498, so the 8 rounds it up to a 50. Okay. Whoops, come back here. Sorry about this. Okay, a characteristic of the data that is ignored by the regression line. Okay. Well, in this case, we have an influential point. We've got that outlier. So that's an influential point that strongly affects the graph of the regression line. So before we do this, if we were doing this in real life, we would investigate that outlier, this little guy here. And we would see, is that a mistake? Maybe it was a data entry error. Maybe it's an actual thing. Maybe it's from a different population. So we would have to look at that first. So there's that answer. Okay. So there's that. I want to show you also a couple of things to find out if you have significance or not. This question's not asking for significance, but you have other questions that do. On the template, that's not the template. Here it is, the one that says Best Master Template that I've posted online for you in the announcements. Okay. Down on the bottom, you're going to look for the tab that says Regression. And you're going to see, to find your critical values for R, we need an R value, an N, and we need an alpha. Alpha is as before. It's the amount of risk you're willing to take about making a type 1 error, which was covered a few weeks ago. So typically that's a 0.05, but they will tell you in the problem what it is. The N is how many points you have. So we need to find that. And the R value we need to calculate. So if I came back to this data and I wanted to find my R value, that's the correlation coefficient. The command for that is CORREL. So again, everything begins with an equal. I type CORREL, I open my parentheses, and now it says array 1, array 2, those are your X and Y values. It doesn't matter which column you do first, but I always do the Y's first because I want to be in the habit of doing that, because this is the only formula where the order doesn't matter. And the other ones, you always have to do the Y's first, so I just keep that habit. So there are my Y values, here are my X values, close parentheses, there's my correlation coefficient. So if I were doing a hypothesis test, that is the number that I would type in here. And again, you can see the formula, CORREL, and highlight your Y's, comma, highlight your X's. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. All right, I'm going to type it, 0.7623. And I still need my N. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points. Each point has an X value and a Y value. I'm not going to count them separately. I'm just going to count the number of pairs that I have. That's 11. Okay. There's my test statistic. You can see it's quite high. Okay. Here's my p-value. Here are my critical values. And these work exactly like, you interpret these exactly like you do for the 1 sample and the 2 sample hypothesis tests. So there's a start for that.